Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to you live from an incredibly cold and incredibly windy but an incredibly exciting Limerick. Here on a Sunday morning, the hangover slowly dissipating, the regret lingering, and two age-old rivals battling it out in the quarter-final, looking to continue their streak towards that sacred rock, the Siege of Limerick trophy. You can see Niall McCarthy with the disc representing Pelt from Limerick going up against Rebel from Cork. Who will come out on top right now? We see Rebel getting an early break despite, as you can tell from the pitches, the difficult conditions. We apologise for joining you slightly late, but don't worry, we're just in time for the action. Padraig Sweeney with the disc sends it to Darren Scully, who gives it to Niall McCarthy. You can see them slowly working their way through the pain of last night by gradually activating their bodies. It's been somewhat of a lackadaisical performance right now by Pelt, but Rebel responded in kind. So let's see who can be the first to really activate their muscles on this fine morning. I am Lorca Murray, and I am joined by Silence, an old friend, because nobody else really is capable of doing it right now. As you see Niall McCarthy on the far sideline, thinks about a huck but doesn't go for it. A rare decision by the Kerry man. Gives it to Darren Scully, who sends it to the middle and sends it to the opposite sideline. Shane McNamara, the captain for this weekend, one of the young talents of Pelt. A lot of these rivalries go back to the varsity stages as well, with many alumni from UCC playing for Rebel and several alumni from UL playing for Pelt. However, a couple of people do cross those lines. The likes of Owen Lawler playing for Pelt, the likes of Dave Smith, or Owen Lawler even playing for Rebel, and Dave Smith playing for Pelt. As now we see Pelt just taking their time, reluctant to make the same mistake they did in the first point and give away short field. The conditions slowly relenting as we settle in to the second day of action here in the 10th anniversary of the Siege of Limerick, Europe's premier early season ultimate tournament. And it's relaxed. Pelt just taking their time, not too concerned with making major gains downfield. They just want to hold on to possession and work their way through this zone. You can see Dylan Ryan on the near sideline looking for the disc, trying to spread it around a little bit as Niall starts to let the stall count get higher and higher, but always trusting that he'll be able to get the disc off to Padraig Sweeney, affectionately known as Podge or Sweet Lips. Because it's Niall McCarthy again. Spreads it out wide to Christy Tinkler and pops it to Podge. Pelt really starting to settle in now, not looking under too much pressure, just taking their time, relaxing, working through the Rebel zone. This is better from the Pelt side, known for their hard partying and hard running, which tend to be detrimental to each other here on the Sunday morning game, but they have settled in quite well. Nice, patient play, soothing, like a warm cup of tea after a hailstorm. While one of those remains a dream, Pelt's consistent offense is becoming more and more of a reality. A nice blade over the top to Niall McCarthy, and they find themselves getting close to the end zone. Rebel holding the zone. You know, sometimes teams like to meld back in to match defense at this point, but Rebel quite confident to just keep trying to play zone positioning. And that is why an errant throw gets a little bit of a touch, and Rebel get the disc right in front of the end zone. So now Rebel coming in the opposite direction. That's McAuliffe spreading it out wide. There's Rebel, Darragh O'Keefe. These are two Ballincollig players, and a huge huck all the way down to John Doherty, but there was a call, so it will have to go back. So a nice little bit of information. BCS, Ballincollig, have reformed with Rebel after the Great Cork Schism of, I believe, 2013, where the two clubs, well, Ballincollig was formed, as several players had an exodus from Rebel. They've recently rejoined to try and bring that side back to relevance, because nobody down on the Lee was really able to be that impressive when there were two entities. So as one, they hope to start climbing that mountain again. They already have gold around their necks from the indoor tournament, but as you can see from the conditions we are currently enduring up here in the booth, this is not indoors. And the price for championships in these conditions is paid in blood. Something Pelt will look to exact from their Cork counterparts. As now they start to play it around, and there, a little bit lackadaisical. That is Stinger. Shane Walsh giving up the disc, and then now McCarthy just puts it into the middle. Still not quite a score. And there's a throw, always inching away from Shane McNamara. He is able to get to it, but unfortunately bobbles the catch. So now Rebel will get another look at it. They only got a couple of passes off. Pelt were able to clamp down on them. If there's one thing Pelt really enjoyed doing, it's just matching the team person to person, body to body. And there, the shot looked like it was destined for turf, but in the end it's rescued by Owen Lawler, Pelt alum. And there's a little bit of conversation. This will be an interesting battle to watch. We've already seen Owen Lawler get MVP of the indoor final we were talking about earlier over Pelt, showing he could go on and be a success outside of the Limerick club. Something Pelt, I'm sure, would like to disprove in the outdoor season. See Donal Murray, long-time stalwart of Rebel. One of the few original members of the club still playing. Tries to get free up the line, can't quite. Instead they go down to Walsh. Thinks about a huck, but leaping across in defence, so he can't get it off. Instead they reset to the middle, McAuliffe. We know he's got a cannon. For now, he keeps it silent, going with the easy pass to Walsh. McAuliffe, he has Doc, but you can see Pelt really putting in a lot of work downfield, trying to shut down those options. Rebel are doing a good job of isolating cutters, just one at a time, but Pelt are doing a better job of keeping them shut down. And there is a huge flick from Owen Lawler, sends it up. John Doc cuts inside of Dylan Ryan and gets to the disc first. It looked like Dylan had position, but he wasn't able to stop Doherty in his dogged pursuit of the disc. And now we have Murray going for a break all the way across. It bounces out of the hands of Podge Sweeney and goes to Drew for the score. It is Drew Moore, who has been with Rebel for several years now. One of their stronger players. Gets a little bit lucky with the bounce, but you have to be in the right position to take advantage of those opportunities, and that's what they've done. We can see here that was Doherty just after collecting the huck. Pointing, directing, as he so frequently does. And then just a classic dump swing. Donal Murray, a nice break. Knowing Sweeney like I do, he'll gonna wish he could get that one back, but that's the kind of fire that could maybe warm the cockles on this cold March morning here at Siege X 2.0. We had a brief hailstorm. Now rain seems to be settling in for a little while. The wind blowing from right to left, from the far to the near side of your screens. As Rebel now 2 points up. The first one you could put down to maybe the Pelt not really being there cognitively or really physically. Simple mistake. Rebel had an easy opportunity to put it away, but that time Pelt put in a lot of work against the Rebel zone, faltered at the last step, and Rebel worked it all the way back down the pitch and scored. That looked like the kind of play that will get you through the rest of the day. So now Pelt must respond. At 2-0 down, they must find a way to say anything, really. Centered into the middle. That's McCarthy. He thinks about the huck, decides against it as the wind really starting to whip across the pitch. And some of those raindrops have a bit of bite as that one flutters away, and Sweeney again can't get his hands around it. So now Rebel with a chance to go 3-0 up. And depending on how these conditions go, that could be a crucial lead. It's good play. That's Emmett. O'Fartha tries to get it to the end zone, but you can see there just how difficult it is. Well, you'll be able to see in a moment. Here is the replay. This is from the score just earlier. John Doherty has been a real leading figure in coaching in Ireland. One of the architects of Ireland's recent junior success. And there's Donal Murray, an architect of Cork Ultimate for over 10 years now. We apologize for the camera quality at times. The rain is blowing directly into it. And I mean blowing. The rain normally falls, but there's another turnover from Pelt. And this one, Rebel with a good chance just to go for the quick score. And they get it. Well taken in. That's Shane Walsh getting it from Drew Moore. And 3-0 down. This is not where Pelt want to be. They are a team who does best when they can be on the offensive. And right now, they are just scrapping for their lives. Careless drops, costing them. You can see the remnants of the party slowly rising off them like steam. Although that could just be the anger at allowing themselves to be in this position on a Sunday morning. So frequently, these kinds of games are won in the early exchanges. It certainly seems like Rebel are alive and awake for this event, whereas Pelt may have left some of their abilities back in bed. 3-0. We will see what Limerick can muster up. 12 minutes into the game. So while it has felt like much longer for us up in the commentary booth, it is still early days. Jamie Chambers stops that disc, came all the way from Spain. A question I'm sure he's second guessing, or decision even, as now Shane McNamara going up against that Rebel zone, playing in mismatched gloves, which says all about the man that you need to know. And Jamie Chambers, that boulder rolling downhill, trying to bring some of that classic energy to the side that he so frequently does. Niall McCarthy. He's been good for holstering them so far, but it was always just a matter of time as John Dock steps across and bats that one away. Dylan Ryan had to cut back under for it. Doherty was ready. But in these kinds of conditions, you have to like that look, considering Pelt have given up 2 short field turns already against this Rebel zone, which led to quick scores. We have another look at the turnover. Not an easy throw to pull off in any condition, as now Rebel go the opposite direction themselves and just launch it back downfield, getting it stuck. You can expect John Doherty and Niall McCarthy to make those kind of throws no matter the day, no matter the hour. Sweeney to McNamara. He has Chambers on one side. Gives it back to Sweeney. Pelt on their end zone line. They've had difficulty getting out of this position so far. And Padraig Sweeney this time launches one. There's 2 players downfield, but again, John Doherty is the one who gets there first. It just keeps drifting towards the front of the pitch, and he just sends it straight back. Lots of people underneath it. Oh, Lawler's one of them, and that's the second time Padraig Sweeney gets a tip of a disc and can't stop the completion. Rebel go 4-0 up. And if you belong to the red part of Munster, you got to be pretty happy with how this game is going so far. Well, Limerick fans might be a little green with envy. This game isn't over yet, but Rebel are certainly looking the stronger side, more decided, more confident. And yeah, okay, a little bit lucky. But luck can win the day if you create the opportunities for it to do so, and that is what Rebel are doing. Their deep shots are just a little bit better. 2 completions so far, 1 to John Doherty, 1 from John Doherty, as he shows just how important he is working in the deep end of that zone as well. So the disc sliding down, set to Sweeney, to Chambers, back to Sweeney. Again, we must apologize for the picture quality, as Pelt get another turnover. It looks like we're going to go to radio broadcast now. It's more middle of the pitch in every sense of the word. Center throws to the sideline. That's John Doherty. He thinks about a huck. He goes for it. He didn't think long. The wind takes it high and bounces it over the top. Almost completed to Lawler, but at the last second, the wind that got it over the stack put it over the intended receiver as well. We apologize as we momentarily lose footage. Desperately looking for lens wipes. Our camera people literally staring the elements in the face. Pelt go for a big shot back themselves. Niall McCarthy comes under and gets it, and that's the kind of activity you need. But then he throws it straight into the ground. Pelt still looking for their first score. More of Rebel in the red. Middle of the pitch again, gives it to Donovan McAuliffe, another man who came from Ballincollig to Rebel. He goes for a huge flick himself. John Doherty comes under for it and collects it. And he's just been doing that all game long. Beautiful pass, plenty of spin, and Lawler runs on for the score. 5-0. And at this point, you have to think it really becomes about who wants it, and Pelt don't seem interested at all. So 16 minutes gone, 5-0. This is the largest lead Rebel have had on Pelt in over 5 years. Harkening back to the days when Pelt were just a couple of University of Limerick players, and yours truly, doing their best against an established club. Pelt have recently been the powerhouse of the last few years. They are the reigning Irish national champions, remember, not to mention the defending title holders and Limerick's own. Yet, the Rebels from Cork have come in and had somewhat of a coup d'etat. How will Pelt respond? It remains to be seen, as does the sun until this very moment. God himself seems to be on the side of Cork. But we know the Limerick men delight in playing devils. Big comebacks are part of Pelt's history, their culture, their heritage, and many of them have been to the detriment of Rebel. Sweeney picks it up, middle of the pitch, marked by Lawler. Rebel sticking with this zone. It's been effective for them so far. High release pass from Sweeney to the near sideline. Now McCarthy thinks about the deep shot, goes against it, and then puts up a big inside-out backhand. It's risky. Christie's underneath it. Tries to get over John Doherty and can't. That man has locked down the deep space for Rebel. He has been a phenomenal player in that position in the zone, and Pelt just can't seem to work their way around it. They are unwilling to go through the middle. Perhaps a little gun-shy after their early missteps. One wonders, if nothing works, what else do they have to go for? As even the outlandish plays aren't coming off for them. John Doherty, you know he wants the hook. That's a big shot, and there it is, inevitable as always. Sweeney and Christie underneath it, it bops back up, and once again you see just how the fates seem to be on the side of Rebel. Great heads-up play by Donnacha McAuliffe, gets cold fingers around cold plastic, and then puts a smooth, an easy touch. Big hammer coming out of John Doherty for the score, but there was a stall out called, and it was called before that throw. Stall out, of course, for those who may not be so well versed in ultimate rules, is when a count reaches 10. Every time you catch the disc, the defender can start a 10 count. And once it reaches 10, you can call for a stall out. Kind of like a shot clock in basketball, except it is imposed, like all rules in ultimate, by the players opposing you. So, bit of discussion. Who doesn't like that in a Sunday morning? It certainly looks like the disc will go back. So John Doherty gets it back on the sideline. Seems like it was uncontested, and you can see how much fun he's having with it right now. That was a very impressive hammer. The kind of throws that normally people get told not to do, but I mean, if you ever tried telling John Doherty not to do something, it never really works. The second time, though, it goes a bit too far, carried out over the sideline. And you can see Owen Lawler playing to the cameras. The minor celebrity he always dreamed of being. Sweeney stuck in that coffin corner. Will he cough up the disc? You understand his frustrations would be building as that one looks for a Callahan almost, but it's just collected. They are on the end zone line. That's Dave Smith, the Kerry man. Known affectionately as Crazy Dave in some circles during his time with UCC. Padraig Sweeney goes for a hammer over the top. Doesn't work. There's a little bit of conversation between Donnacha McAuliffe and Dave Smith. As they try and work out who initiated contact. One wonders how relevant it is, considering Sweeney did not go for that player at all, but depending on how long ago the foul happened, It all determines positioning. You have to agree with sideline commentator man, unwilling to put on a headset, Andrew Mead. Hi. As he says, Owen Lawler really sniffing the Callahan. He wants this more than anybody else in the pitch. And that has been the story of the game so far. But now Pelt finally starting to get a little bit of rust. That was a risky pass, but it worked out. There's a bit of recklessness. Somehow McCarthy gets that into the hands of Grant, gets it back. Grant is there, goes for it. There's a high release flick. It worked for Chambers. It did not work for McCarthy. As there's the hook directly back down. And so far, Rebel have been very effective at getting under those swilly discs, by which we mean sketchy. And Christy Tickler goes for a hammer himself and feels how bad it was coming out of his hand. Nice little kick across. Dylan at least seems to be enjoying himself. Dylan, it should be noted. Dylan Ryan, of course. Number 14 there, marking John Doherty, a difficult task. Already played this morning. Played in the 8 o'clock game with his varsity side, UL. Now playing for Pelt, double duty. So, huge throw from Owen Lawler, looking for John Doherty. This time, Padraig Sweeney makes sure, the third time of asking. And he denies Rebel. And Pelt are starting to bring themselves up a little bit. There's a throw, but again, Niall McCarthy goes to the big shot and it doesn't work. He's trying to shoot them back in this game. So far, he's only been successful in hitting his foot. So, John Doherty once again picking it up. You have to imagine he's going for a big shot. I do have to imagine he's going for a big shot. I also have to imagine that there's a co-commentator here. There's the big shot. So that one at least became a reality. Lots of people underneath it, and it's almost taken down. You have to say that's a pretty good contest for it. I do feel like Rebel got there first. That is Aaron Mead, known as Young Squirrelo. He's grown into quite the young player. You could see he got the position, recognized what was going on. And again, we have to really praise Rebel's work at the junior level. They're one of the forefronts of it originally. There was a little bit of junior work in Dublin. Ray Considine, quick shout out to him for getting it started in Cork, and they are reaping the benefits of it. A decade later, almost cursed him. Mead sends it, and Tinkler just comes across. Excellent defensive play, getting there before Adam Clapper. And Tinkler launches it himself. That's a big throw. Niall McCarthy's underneath it, but it's always going close to the end zone. Or the sideline, sorry. And that's what I'd prefer to see. Niall McCarthy in that end of the pitch. He's one of the best receivers Pelt have, and I think they're just using him at the wrong side of the field. There's now Donald McAuliffe. You can see now John Doherty from the handler position launching himself deep. Instead, they've gone back to the middle. Clapper. Clapper. Back to McAuliffe. Launches it. Almost gets it down to Moore, but can't quite. Good pressure from Christie. He's starting to wake up a little bit. You can feel his incredulity at being 5-0 down from here. And he's using that rage to power him forward. Brilliant high release flick. For some reason, Pelt have decided to bust them out across the handling core. They're getting close to the first score. Now McCarthy with the disc, front of the end zone. Gets it to Padraig Sweeney. Will 3 be the magic number to get 1 point on the board? Back to Niall McCarthy. He sends it across. Dave Smith. Back into Sweeney, and slowly Rebel are pushing them back out, holding onto that zone. Liam Grant. Now that is a Squirrely O player, knows what to do, and does it correctly. Gets the point to Dylan Ryan and makes it 5-1. So there's the first score. But, is it a raindrop? Or is it a downpour? It remains to be seen. I should probably not invoke weather-based metaphors for fear of tempting the gods. But, Pelt score, 5-1. Can they keep doing it? There was a lot of turns in that game, Lorcan. There was, Lorcan. A lot of turns in all the points so far. So that does kind of speak well to Pelt. They've slowly started to work out how to play more themselves.
And Rebel still going for those big shots and relying on that. Pelt finally learned a way to D it up, which is trying. How will Rebel respond? They still have a commanding lead. And they will get the disc coming out of half as well. Remember, Pelt started on offense. This has been 5 breaks in a row for Rebel. Pelt finally get an offensive hold. Now they come out in the D-line. Now McCarthy, disc in hand, getting ready to send it up. 26 minutes gone in the game. We have another 50 to go. The championship bracket, both divisions, 75-minute games. No wind cap, which we had to install yesterday. And a little bit extra time and space for these players to work with. As now you see Owen Lawler, he's at halfway, and that bounces out of the hands of Regan. An unfortunate misstep. Dave Smith immediately goes. Now McCarthy with the inside-out backhand. It's a tough one. It's always going a bit too far. Rushing himself. Rushing the offense unnecessarily. So now, Rebel get another look. You would like to see Pelt maybe take a bit more care of the disc. Of course, I like to see them score. I eventually got that. Maybe in 6 points' time, they'll start taking care of the disc. There's now Regan. Another man who came across from Ballincollig. And that merger already paying dividends. We'll see how long it lasts them in the outdoor season. How far can they go? As John Doherty absolutely launches one. Ben Martin underneath it, but he's got 2 Rebel players to beat. And does so. That's a junior program coming to the fore for you. The great young man, still in secondary school. Probably why he's one of the more athletically able players on the pitch right now. Not at the party last night. And then that one just thrown away immediately. Pelt really struggling to put anything together outside of that first point. And a just straight down the line cut from John Doherty. He has been dominating this matchup. You can tell how much more Rebel want to be out there. 6-1 up now. Pelt had their opportunities, couldn't capitalize on them, as they continue to struggle to just put a few passes together. Let's have another look at this. It's an up the line cut from the handler position. John Doherty. Lovely throw from Donncha McAuliffe. He made what was quite difficult look rather easy. So now, Pelt are in a hole. But in the immortal words of Chief Wiggum, dig up, stupid. Can they get themselves out of it? It remains to be seen. Brief spark of life with that first point, but again, old mistakes re-emerge, and Rebel just that little bit extra clinical. Using the hucks to get downfield, relying on Pelt to turn it, and then taking the easy short field scores. Now Chambers, middle of the pitch. Wide to Tinkler. He can use search for options downfield. He gets it to Niall McCarthy, who thinks about the huck again and goes for it at the second asking. A risky decision. John Doherty finds the right place and gets there. He has been all over that space and just launching it straight back himself. Sweeney is downfield and collects it, turning into a little bit of a kicking game in rugby. Shout out to the Irish rugby team who will be playing against France later today, which I'm sure I won't get to see because I'm too dedicated to Ultimate, as I'm sure our fans are as well. Patrick Sweeney, middle of the pitch. Is it down? But there is a flick coming uncomfortably out of the hands of one of Pelt's pickups for this tournament. And they immediately go for the huck, and Sweeney immediately sends it back. Now Smith. Sweeney, middle of the pitch. Gets it to Tinkler. Bounces out of his hands. You've got to imagine they are quite cold. And Pelt just continue to struggle to really find themselves in this match. It's Regan. Picks up the disc. He has McAuliffe. Gives it to him. On the sideline. John Doherty moving around. Uncontested foul by Chambers. Some would say maybe slightly professional. John Doherty was completely free in the front corner of the end zone. There's Now McAuliffe looks for the dump. He has Walsh. But there you go. Poaching doesn't work out for Pelt. A free Dave Regan just goes down the line and gets the score. And that just speaks to how Rebel have been in this game so far. Smarter, quicker, in every sense more awake. As you can see, now McCarthy lets his man go. Stays occupying the space. I'm not sure if Pelt were trying to play a zone there momentarily, or now McCarthy just decided that running's overrated. But there was certainly confusion defensively, and something Rebel are able to take advantage of. We're going to take a quick break ourselves. Thank you for joining us on this morning. We do it for you. We do it for love. We do it because, well, to be honest, we didn't really have much else to do this morning. So, we'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm Lorcan. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, but one wonders for how long. Is the wind really starting to howl and try and take away our tent? I am Lorcan Murray, and I am joined by the wonderful Andrew Mead. How are you feeling this morning, Andrew?
I'm good now. It's very, very cold and windy.
Yes, it is, but would you have it any other way on a Sunday morning in Siege?
Oh, never, never.
Can't. So, Pelt, with quite the mountain to climb, 7-1 down, but it is something of their own creation. John Doherty's been doing that all game long, launching it deep into packs of people. Ben Martin gets underneath it and slaps it away. A rare bright spark for what has been a dour Pelt performance here in the early morning. And they're going for the break. Doesn't come off. Great work by the Rebel zone. And now they're starting to pop it a little bit, just showing a bit of versatility. Shane Walsh goes down the line, tries to get it from Dara. The Ballincollig connection.
There's a foul call.
Foul from behind, it would seem. Ben Martin having a conversation with Shane Walsh. To me, that disc looked a little bit behind him.
There was contact, but I think that this might have been already gone at that stage.
Well, it's going to go back. As now you can see Dara O'Keefe with the disc. Very comfortable handler, reliable. Lawler goes down the line, nobody there to stop him, and Rebel have just beaten Pelt today with fundamentals. You go down the line, nobody's able to stop that cut. Huck and D, which is where you just throw it as far as you can to get it out of your own half, and then rely on your team to mess up. That's something that would have worked on Pelt years ago, Andrew.
Yeah.
But what's happening to them right now?
Just not the races.
One wonders where they are.
Yeah. probably still indolence from last night.
A couple of them still in bed. About 5 minutes before the game, while Rebel were warming up, Pelt were still trying to frantically look for 7 people willing to go on the line. Well, they found them. It doesn't seem like they ever really showed up.
No.
8-1 down. And being outplayed in basically every department.
Sub's going to make sure his team runs hard.
He is a good coach, a good leader, and he's a good man.
He is.
He is.
Good man.
Hopefully he'll never hear this, obviously.
Yeah. He'll definitely watch this back.
He'll probably enjoy watching this back quite a lot. As Sweeney goes to get the disc, it's gone out on the pole, so he's going to get to center it and take it up about a third of the way into the pitch. What is known as a brick. As he hopes to maybe lay the foundations of a comeback. Niall McCarthy hanging out deep, trying to do something to distract John Doherty. There's Tinkler. Gives it back to Sweeney. The weather really picking up, so Sweeney just launches it into the air. Neither player really able to read it too well.
And John Dock getting ready to hook it back.
Sends it right back. That one's arcing much lower though. And caught. Excellent read by Walsh. These have just been working out for them all day, although Walsh can't complete the shorter throw. But you could see the difference. When Doherty hucks it, it always comes down over a big group of people, vaguely catchable.
Giving the receivers a chance.
Exactly, whereas with Pelt have done it, a lot of the times it hasn't been that available for somebody to get on the end of. And the few times someone did get on the end of, it was John Doherty.
They're always trying to throw around the force as well.
So that makes it all the more difficult, whereas you can see John Doherty just goes there straight away and has complete freedom to throw it. Another huck. Now McCarthy underneath this one gets to it. He's got 2 players going. You know he's going to send it to one of them. But once again, his throws have not been there today. He's had a lot of turnovers to his name. As now that one arcing down. I really thought Lawler was going to be able to get it, but a nice bit of defensive effort.
John Dock only has one throw in mind all day today anyway.
Understandably so, given the conditions and given its success rate right now. Sweeney has to keep going, pick that up, and try and start it. So, Sweeney with the disc. Give it across. They're trying to spread it. The Rebel zone clamping in around them. Gets it to Niall McCarthy. You know he's going to want to lash it, but he puts a bit of an edge. It's always dropping, and John Doherty gets there. A friendly roll, though. So, they are now at the front corner, and somebody finally there to put a force on him. To make it just a little bit more difficult for him to get those hucks off. He's still going to go for it, and it still looks quite pretty, although never coming in. So, Andrew, do you think Pelt can put it in now they're on the front corner of the end zone?
They have no other choice. I think they will.
Well, frequently, when Limerick people are given no choice, they make their own. So I think they possibly have the opportunity to mess this up.
In these wins, anything's possible.
Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. And you can see Rebel really swarming on the low side with the wind is coming across from the far side of the pitch to the near one. And Rebel have about 4 players in and around Sweeney. He gets it to Tinkler somehow. And he pops that to Chambers, gives it to Smith, who just lands right in front of the end zone. And there's a quick hop in from Tinkler, and the second score. Travel called. So currently 8-1 to Rebel. They retract. It's 8-2 now as they retract the travel call. So Pelt get their second score of the game. Do you think they could get any more, Andrew?
I do. This team love big comebacks. And they might just have it in them today after those kind of sore heads wear off.
That's one of the aspects of the Sunday morning game. As you play, you kind of get a bit of cognizance back into your body. But I feel like they've left themselves a pretty substantial gap. It's not like Rebel are difficult to work out. It's just, given the amount of opportunities they now have to put this game away.
Also, with the win cap, they will be limited in how much time they have after the game.
That is true as of, or it was true yesterday for the championship round. We don't have wind cap, and we've also been very nice to ourselves and stretched out pitch 1 just a little bit, give ourselves a bit more time to try and set up things. Huge shout out to the work the Ulti.tv crew are doing today, braving the elements. We've been here since 8 in the morning setting all of this up. Excellent stuff from the camera crew. As now McCarthy winds up and launches that one deep. And Pelt look to make this a bit of a fight. McAuliffe, huge shot straight away. Ben Martin gets caught underneath it, and that is a straight response from Rebel. That's a melancholic play. Pelt, you can see them getting mad at each other. They just don't seem like they know what's going on.
No.
Like, how do you let them do that when that's literally all they've been doing? Frustration showing on the Pelt side, matched in its intensity by the joy of Rebel, who seem to be having fun out there. We're going to have another look at this. A magnificent throw from McAuliffe. In these conditions, flick, end zone to end zone. Somehow there are 3 Rebel players and 1 Pelt player. The least experienced Pelt player is the one back there playing defense with no help. That's the other aspect of it. When we were talking about how Rebel were putting up those hucks and there was always a lot of people underneath them, they were made catchable. Pelt have not contested that many of Rebel shots.
No.
They just don't seem to care that much. And I would have thought if they really did want to get back in this game, they would have needed to actually show up and start making a statement there. And really that's kind of revelatory of how they feel. They don't care.
I thought I'd see more zone from Pelt in this game.
Understandable.
Rebel using it very effectively so far.
Very effectively. And we know Pelt do have a couple of zones in their arsenal.
They do. Most notably the FSU.
Coming from Florida State University. That initialism doesn't mean anything else. As now Sweeney with the disc. Gives it to Tinkler. Middle of the pitch. And again, it's a little bit FSU-ish indeed from Rebel as well. As there's Liam Grant, fantastic at playing against zones. Gives it to Ryan, gets it to McCarthy. Grant goes down the line. McCarthy instead goes back for the dump. This is nice, relaxed play. Smith, then Sweeney, and he goes for a scooper again. McAuliffe comes across though, too relaxed even. McAuliffe was lying in wait for that one. Springing his trap now, picking it up. And going immediately for another big shot deep. The way it bounced initially out of Shane's hands, I thought it was going to be another one of those bobble and catch for Rebel. Now McCarthy picks up the disc straight away. High release backhand to Dylan Ryan. McCarthy thinks about sending it deep, goes for it on the second try, but those throws have just not been there for him today. Hasn't had them. Not that that'll ever stop him from throwing them, but right now not quite working out. And again, I would prefer to see him down on the other end of that play. As now McAuliffe instead going for an under, but you can see why they're reluctant to do those kinds of things. Shane Walsh can't quite get there, bounces out of his hands. Sweeney leading McNamara, that was beautiful. McNamara taking a couple of extra steps. Walsh makes him go back, that's understandable. And that one just pops up in the face of Sweeney at the last second. And unfortunately, he can't get his hands around it. So Ryan going to be putting the mark on McAuliffe, and we have seen him put up some tasty throws so far today. This time just going for a nice easy swing. That one pops up. Lawler plays it down the line, comfortably taken in by Murray. Nobody really marking, goes for a breakthrough all the way across. Excellent defense by Shane McNamara, coming back and getting the block. Smith on the near sideline. McCarthy has time to just wait underneath it as the defense slowly makes his way to him. Big inside-out backhand, launches it downfield to Tinkler. Doherty basically stopped playing defense and goes for the score. I don't think he was in, but
I don't think so either.
I'm not sure how many people are that interested in playing this game, so you really have to start wondering how many people are that interested in watching. If you are watching, you can reach us at Rev Lorcan. Andrew, do you have a Twitter handle?
I do not, unfortunately.
Well, that's fine. You can always send it to me. You can see here. Maybe he was in. Could have been in the air when he caught that. And that's a little bit more positive for Pelt.
Yeah.
One of their shots comes off. 45 minutes gone.
And the sunshine is coming out in the beautiful place of sunny Limerick.
Sunny, sunny Limerick, as it is traditionally known. Our Dutch cameraman really enjoyed that one. We've got a little bit of a timeout here for ourselves. So, 9-3. I haven't really seen Pelt pull out anything different to get the second and third scores. What would you like to see from him?
More intensity on offense and defense. Most of the time on offense, they're passing it around and then just disc bobbles to turn. But on defense, I think they can be a lot more aggressive and force Rebel to throw some turns and not just tuck it.
Ideally. The few times that they have made them take multiple passes, it hasn't really worked out.
No.
What is so strange for me is I keep remembering the first point that Pelt had where they just, about 50 passes all through the team, very slowly worked it through the Rebel zone, got all the way up to the end zone, and then just a bit of a bobble.
And it was a turn.
And since then, they just haven't looked like that team.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, we're in for a good game. This is an old rivalry, one that Rebel initially dominated, and then Pelt subsequently been dominating for the last few years. Earlier this season, it was against Pelt in that indoor final that Rebel got the gold. And now outdoors, it seems like Rebel are about to dismiss Pelt. They're 9-3 down. Both these teams came in here really looking for the championship. I was talking to Owen Lawler, the captain of Rebel, and he said, we wanted to finish in the top 8, but I think that was him downplaying it.
As he does.
As he constantly does. Whereas Pelt, they don't mince words. They came here to win. Both the party and the tournament. As now we see Regan. Gives it to McAuliffe, and he's been at the center of a lot of good work for Rebel. They immediately launch it downfield, so that they can start playing zone again, you have to imagine. Now McCarthy walking towards the disc. And he thinks about just launching it himself. Padraig Sweeney's the one who makes the cut. It was well done. The disc floated for a long time. And those ones, in comparison, they just have a bit too much edge.
Yeah.
And Doherty has just been reading them better than the Pelt receivers. Murray launches that one deep. Drew tries to come for it. Now McCarthy gets there first, sends it down the line. Chambers collects. So he's on the sideline, looking for options. None really become available. Has to go over the top. Try makes it to Dillon. It's a beautiful throw. Sweeney collects. That's a score. Somebody should tell him. Walks back out of the end zone and gives it to Ryan. 9-4 in the first break of the game for Pelt.
Is the comeback on?
Probably not. But we can hope.
We can.
9-4. 5 points the difference. 6 breaks required. As we have another look. Lovely down the line shot to Chambers. You can see the defense kind of suckering in around him. Ryan makes a cut to the end zone. Sweeney in support. Over the top of the defender. McAuliffe can only wave at the disc as it goes above him. And Sweeney pops it to Ryan for the finishing touch. So 9-4. And here come Pelt, looking a little bit more ready for action. Slightly more awake. Maybe they have arisen with the sun. It remains to be seen. Donald Murray goes back to field the disc.
Beautiful pull.
Right in the back of the end zone. And there's Drew Moore. Gets it to the sideline with Lawler. If you like Rebel starting to settle into this game, that is a fantastic shot by Lawler all the way down the sideline, collected further down the pitch. Doyle pops it into Moore. He's right on the end zone line, almost there for the score, and Pelt never looked like playing defense on that point. At no point was there a green shirt next to a red. Excellent stuff by Rebel all the way down the sideline. Pass, 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 pass. And that's one of the things that makes it just seem like Pelt can't fight their way back into this game. Rebel are just outplaying them. It's not like Pelt aren't realizing how good they are. Aren't playing up to their top ability. But Rebel are taking full advantage. And punishing them. So 10-4, good buddy. Rebel firmly in the driving seat. Do you think there's anything really Pelt can do? It's a matter of intensity. They just don't seem like they really care.
Just not there.
Yeah. Vacant would be one way of describing their expressions. The intensity's there when they're ready to get angry. But outside of that, not really able to do anything. Whereas Rebel, cohesive. Smith picks up the disc. Into the center. Sweeney to Chambers. He's been doing a great job of giving that option against the zone. Tinkler plays it to McCarthy on the wing. You can see he wants it. Goes for the hammer to Grant. Just puts it a bit too far ahead of them. And that has been kind of systemic of Pelt. Going for those throws around, not really pulling them off. Whereas Rebel's choices have just been a little bit better and a little bit better executed as well. Call centers it to Regan.
And it's gone.
Sends a shot himself immediately. That one pops up. Sweeney's underneath it. He collects it. So Rebel's modus operandi not looking like changing anytime soon. Chambers. Sends it all the way across to Niall McCarthy. Gives it directly in front of him to Smith. Now Pelt are outside the end zone. A bit of patience here. A bit of foresight. Gives it to Niall in the middle. And they just keep it going. That's Ben Martin. And the pop to his coach, Christy Tinkler. Pelt get the score to make it 10-5. So, slightly better, considering they were 8-1 down at one point.
They were.
But still nowhere near enough. Rebel are within touching distance. 3 points away from putting this game to bed. Whereas Pelt trying to find a way back in. That was better. It was consistent.
It was.
Which is something they've been lacking. So we just have another look at this. This is the hammer, Liam Grant. Silky voice of Ultimate around the world. Putting his body on the line. He stepped out of the booth to step onto the pitch for this tournament. Focusing on his playing. He'll want gold. Now McCarthy goes for a big pull. And that is a nice one again. Settling deep in the end zone, trying to trap more.
The chase just isn't there.
Well, that's the lack of intensity. Just people aren't getting down there to help. Regan gives it to McAuliffe. You know he's going to go for a huge flick. Sweeney and Darty underneath it. Darty tries to clap catch it. It bounces out of his hands. So, Pelt have an opportunity. That time there was at least defense on the other end of the hook. I feel like it would be worth almost laying out on the force. Trying to dissuade them somewhat. Smith with a big arching flick all the way across, but it just lands at the feet of Chambers. And that again is just the difficulty they've been having. A nice break from Regan all the way around. Murray then just sends it across into the waiting arms of Lawler. And it's dangerous. That's why they're playing Huck and D. Because it's working. An old school strategy. But one they're enjoying.
Oh, it was effective.
It really shouldn't be effective at this level. But it is.
After a Saturday night, it's going to be effective.
A very good point. And that has been it. Rebel have just been far more clinical. Pelt have had more drops, more mistakes, and less interest. So, Pelt back on offense, but you have to think they are running out of time. And distance, it's 11-5. They would need to score 8 points and only let Rebel score 1. So they went 8-1 down. Can they now go on an 8-1 tear themselves? Andrew?
Probably not in this game.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I mean, you don't want to say it because it is our club, but Rebel have been the better side. Thoroughly. comprehensively. Today, at least. Now McCarthy gets a nice little pop into Tinkler in the middle. Swings it around to McNamara, just about. This Rebel zone has a lot of Pelt players. There's a lot of players down near the Pelt handlers. Now Pelt start to bring somebody back to help out. This is better. Tinkler. He has Martin on the far side, doesn't like the look of it. Just about able to get the one to McCarthy. Swings it around. Chambers has Martin in front of him, decides against. As you can see, Tinkler making his way down, trying to attract Doherty. And there's the throw from McCarthy, goes all the way across. Lots of people underneath it. Bounces out of the hands of Martin, and they can't collect it on the rebound. So again, you can just see the slight differences. That was better from Pelt, much better, but in the end, the bobble doesn't go their way. Now McCarthy able to get the touch. Lawler almost able to run onto it for the score. I think he would have enjoyed getting that one for himself, as now they set up the zone immediately. Now McCarthy goes for a hammer over the top. None of those throws have worked out in this game. Pelt continue to go for them. That one just bouncing out of the hands of Jamie Chambers. They keep looking good initially, but then it just seems to be a little bit too high, a little bit too far. Just that precision missing. As there's a huge overhead. I think, don't know what to call it. Reckless abandon or just reckless?
Just reckless.
Just reckless. So now Pelt get it back further up the pitch. And it seems like it's going to be Dave Smith taking the disc. As we see him marching himself to where the disc went out of bounds. So Smith, with an awful lot of Rebel players all around him. You can see them contract when a Pelt handler comes near and then expand again. Beautiful use. This has been a fantastic zone by Rebel. And McNamara goes back into the middle of it rather than hitting the wing. McCarthy gets the one back to McNamara. He has options on either side. Gives it to O'Keefe. Daniel O'Keefe of Pelt, the big man, with the shoulder shake and drop flick. McNamara with another break flick on the far sideline. This is good stuff. Martin with the disc. Pops it back to McCarthy. I think he thought about a scuba, decided against it. Goes instead for a bladey flick across to Chambers. Doesn't make any mistakes with this one. Back into Tinkler. This is better offense from Pelt. Right up to that last moment where they just try to arc it around. Excellent heads-up defense from Doyle, though. So Rebel sticking with the zone all the way to the end zone, which isn't quite what we'd always see from them, but you gotta say they have a lot of faith in the strategy as another hut goes up.
Yeah, I think you can expect to see that a lot more this season under the supervision of Soupy Normster. Soupy
Normster, of course, new coach for Rebel. That was a great grab by McNamara, no means easy. And McCarthy's under this one, McAuliffe's coming across. And they kind of fall over each other. I don't know if there's going to be a conversation about that one, a bit strange. And he lets it go. A little peculiar what happened there, but understandable. People get lost under the disc and they just kind of fall over each other.
They do.
Nobody was really going to make it to that one. So now, McAuliffe sends it down to Murray. And Murray launches that one deep. Of course he does. Doherty's underneath it. Tries to get there. Walks calmly as Smith and McNamara take each other out. He was much more relaxed about that. So now we have Smith. Trapped on the sideline. This is an active force and a great cup. And he is all alone. Nobody helping. Gets it to Martin, though. Excellent throw and catch. The blade working out. And Christie puts a bit more float on that one. And a score to Dan O'Keefe. That makes it 11-6. So a few more points like that would probably go in Pelt's favour.
Yeah.
They could be messy. Lots of turns, but Rebel really playing like a team who have a healthy cushion. And then showing up like an angel Fiona Vaughan. With some coffee. Yes. Let's get back to life. So now, maybe Pelt can have an injection of life just like we are about to have an injection of life in this commentary booth. Hopefully so. 11-6 down. 5 points in the difference. Thank you very much, Andrew Mead.
Been waiting 2 hours for this.
You'll have to forgive us if you hear any sounds of drinking, as unprofessional as it is. It is very cold. And Pelt, searching, probing, prodding. That was an offensive hold. So they still need a lot more breaks. Big pull going down. McCarthy's pulls have been excellent in this game. If his hammers have not. Regan, middle of the pitch, plenty of time. Doesn't go for the huck, which is surprising. Seems like Rebel are happy and confident enough to play this in a more traditional style of Ultimate now that the weather has calmed down. Murray with the disc. Lawler, beautiful break into Lawler. Very difficult to get him shut down. Down the line to Donica McAuliffe. He has Doherty directly in front of him. This is good play by Rebel. They go for the break. There's a lot of float on it. That is not a legal type of greatest. The greatest when you jump from inbounds, catch it. So you haven't touched out of bounds, so you're still technically in bounds. Throw it without touching anything, including the ground, mainly the ground. Back into play, so it is a legitimate pass. You're not allowed to just hit it though. Intentional marks are illegal. So, great defensive pressure on the end zone line. McNamara bobbles that one, but able to keep it in under his control just about. As now Pelt play it between their handlers. Looking for somebody to make a move downfield. That man is Dan O'Keefe. Gives it back to Tinkler. There's an awful lot of space. McNamara thinks about the deep shot, decides against it. Tinkler goes down the line, but that throw was always coming late, and Lawler just snuffs it out. And you can see the disinterest on some of the Pelt players after that. They just do not want to be out here as much as Rebel. I think both sides would be happy with a Rebel victory at this point, just to bring this to a close. 12-6. Good offense.
Good offense.
Rebel worked it all the way down to the end zone. Nice little bit of tight defense by Pelt. But then so, here we have another look at the play across, and that's a great shot. That's the thing about Rebel, who seem to have just taken this victory, 12-6. Okay, maybe we mistook the score at one point and it was 13-6. Sorry, we did miss 1 point earlier on with technical difficulties. We might have missed 2 at the start of the game, and actually they went 2-0 down. Or, and this is, I think, equally likely, Pelt just gave up. So, we're going to have a couple of shots here, and you can see the circus of weather we've experienced during this matchup. As you see Rebel in the early exchanges, that's Walsh. The sun by the end in comparison to the snow. Coming out. That was a beautiful throw from Smith to Martin. He was in a lot of trouble, but he bailed them out of it. And really, I feel like this game was just a matter of Rebel came out, got those early points. Like you said, you thought it would maybe happen for 2-3 points. Yeah. Pelt would fight the way back into it. At a moment, it looked like it could have gone to a bagel. And then Pelt, very much an emotional team. If you can beat them emotionally, they will beat themselves physically. And that is exactly what we just saw there. So, thank you very much for joining us on this game. We've still got plenty of action to come. A women's semi-final, men's semi-final, and then the 2 finals themselves. We have the schedule up on the Facebook page. Please follow, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. I've been Lorcan Murray.
I've been Andrew Mead.
We'll see you shortly.
que smile.